This man went to a graveyard at night and forgot to lock his car. This is what happened that night. David and Dell from the YouTube channel Signs and Signals went to explore the Zion Presbyterian Church Cemetery in South Carolina. The graveyard was founded in 1851 and was located isolated within the woods. As David talks about his encounter with a strange man in this cemetery, they unknowingly record someone or something crawling into their vehicle. David and Dell did not notice this. So when they were done recording in the cemetery, they hopped on the car and drove back home. David says the next morning he found the back of his car was open, but nothing was missing. David expresses he is terrified to know whatever was in the car with him that night now knows where he lives. This woman was woken up in the middle of the night by her gate swinging back and forth. She mentions there's no wind right now, so she has no idea what could possibly be doing this. And as she's looking around to make sense of this whole situation, she finally sees it. What looks like a tall person in a black cloak with an eerie pale face and horns is just standing there watching her. As she goes to get her flashlight to get a better look at what that is, by the time she's back, it's gone. On the next morning, she would wake up with unexplained bruises. Later that day, Cassandra and her husband left the house. Creepy, Unexplained Sounds, Part 12. This video takes place somewhere in the coast of sunny Florida. Diver Brianna finds a wreck ship and decides to put on a GoPro and explore it. What she captured is horrifying. You can hear what sounds like a drowning female voice. Shocked on what just happened, she decides to dive down again, but this time, nothing really happens. This man uploaded this horrifying video 13 years ago. Nobody knows what happened to him. User Freeze Dabram was practicing the keyboard when suddenly he hears a noise coming from the kitchen. He finds a cushion laying on the floor, and thinking to himself there must be an intruder, he grabs a weapon. Suddenly, he hears his keyboard fall off the counter, and when he goes to check, he finds his room completely trashed. As he's picking up the mess, he begins to hear voices in the living room. He goes to investigate, and this is the last time he would be seen. This night guard was doing his rounds, but when he checked an open door, this happened. Tim from Tim Saver was making rounds at work. He wanted to record most of his shift because paranormal things kept happening. As he's walking through the corridor, he notices an open door. Curious to see what's inside, Tim carefully takes a look, and what he saw is horrifying. This man took the night shift because nobody wanted to, but a few nights later, he would find out why. Tim from the TikTok page Tim Saver got a job as a night guard at an undisclosed facility. In one of the corridors was an abandoned unit where most of the paranormal events would occur. One night, Tim left his phone to record the abandoned unit, and what he captured disturbed him. A small attic door begins to shake, as if someone or something is up there. Tim grabs a ladder to investigate. What he found is horrifying. There's something in the attic that Tim is not noticing. Suddenly, an unexpected loud noise startles Tim, but when he looks again, he finally sees it. This is why babies can actually see ghosts.
Who are you talking to?
Tana and her brother Tim enjoyed making TikTok videos together, with Tana's 2-year-old daughter Evelyn. But unfortunately, a few months later, Tim would tragically pass away, leaving little Evelyn without a loving uncle. One night, while Tana was alone with her daughter, she heard her talking to someone.
Who are you talking to?
As Tana asked her, who is she talking to, you could hear a faint male voice saying, "Uncle." Evelyn repeats the word uncle with excitement. But right after that, she says no in a confused tone. Tana believes this is her brother Tim looking over her from the other side. This man visited a haunted house from his childhood. It did not go well. During a late night, Casey took his friend Ashton to visit a haunted house he saw when he was a kid. Casey explains he wasn't able to find the house until tonight. Located deep within the woods, Casey mentions dark things happened inside that house. And when he drives by the house for a closer look, this happens.
Yeah, hold on. Casey, go back.
Ashton sees a person standing in the window.
Go back.
And when they look again, there's no one there. Curious to see who that was, they got off the car to investigate, and it did not go well.
No shit, go.
This man was haunted by a demon that mimicked his girlfriend's voice. Giovanni Lima and his girlfriend Laura lived a fairly normal life in Brazil. But one night as they slept, Giovanni was awoken by something outside his room, mimicking his girlfriend's voice. A week later, things get worse. He went to explore an abandoned factory alone and got himself into a horrifying situation. Chris from Urbix Hill explored the abandoned Westinghouse factory in Cleveland. The place was abandoned in 1979 and now houses the homeless. While inside the factory, Chris found himself in a dark hall. And at the end was a man hunched down, completely irresponsive.
Yo.
After a few attempts of seeing if he needed help, Chris leaves him alone and continues exploring. He began to feel bad for his situation, so he decided to return to give him some money. But when Chris got there, he wasn't there anymore. Now, kinda creeped out, Chris cautiously looks for him. He heard voices coming from an area, and when Chris got there, he saw the same man standing in the dark, completely irresponsive. Chris decides to leave. If you're messing with ghosts and suddenly you start to feel nauseous, it may be trying to possess you. Let me explain. Chris from Urbix Hill had a very ominous experience during one of his recent explorations. He visited an old haunted factory that was built on 1916 and abandoned for unknown reasons. Chris sets up an infrared camera at the corner of the room, and what he records here is terrifying. He first hears a loud bang coming from a dark, empty room.
Did you hear that?
And as he's checking out the noise, you can see a pale-looking figure entering Chris's body. Chris immediately turns around as he feels whatever that was behind him. Another figure pops up on the left door frame and just watches Chris. Chris, not knowing what's going on, continues exploring, but he immediately feels very nauseous. As Chris is forced to puke, you can see the same pale figure from before exit his body. Feeling sick, Chris decides to leave. I'm pretty sure you heard this before. You hear someone call your name, yet you're all alone. But what if you managed to record that event? Well, that's exactly what happened in this video to Christine Wright. She was filming a video at a creepy old cemetery located in Portland, England. Built back in 1475, many of the tombs have creepy skull symbols that will creep out any visitors. Alone in this cemetery, Christine begins talking to the camera when suddenly this happens.
Completely out of the way, so nobody... Oh, hello. Oh. Oh. What?
Christine is startled by the voice of a woman coming from behind her, saying hello.
Oh, nobody. Oh, hello. Oh.
She thought she had been hearing things that were not there, like the rest of us, until she reviewed the footage. This man was filming a ghost town in Japan, and you won't believe what he captured. Takushi from Takushi Camera went to explore the Shirwa village in Japan. The place has been abandoned for over 28 years and is now considered a ghost town. Creepy enough, the former residents were buried between houses. As Takushi explores this unnerving place, he feels an odd sensation in one of the houses. He places a thermal camera to potentially capture the heat pattern of anything that might be hiding in the shadows. After some time had passed, Takushi pulls up his phone to look at his camera, and he cannot believe his eyes. The camera's detecting the heat patterns of someone standing across the room. Takushi attempts to capture an up-close picture of this thing. In doing so, this happens.
マジでおるマジでおるマジでおるマジでおるマジでおる何してんの何してんのはどういうこと何してんのはマジでおるなんかおるんよ
Takushi left the village after this event. This is why you don't take creepy dolls from anyone. One afternoon, a man went to his basement to cut a piece of wood in his workshop. In the basement, Jamie's wife Katie kept a collection of antique dolls that her aunt had left behind. And ever since they took those dolls, strange things started happening in the house. As Jamie's leaving the basement, he's stopped by something odd. Mysteriously, the doll chair leans back as if something's holding it there. Jamie carefully inspects the area in disbelief of what he sees. Suddenly, the chair swings upright and scares Jamie. He went to explore a haunted mansion when suddenly something started to follow him.
I hear something outside.
Late one night, Frank from Franco TV was exploring an abandoned mansion that was located in the outskirts of Peru. He looked into the history of this house and found out that a man had killed his own family due to an obsession with black magic. As Frank explores the mansion, it starts to get dark and he begins to hear strange noises coming from outside.
I just heard something yelling outside. Hello? ¿Quién es? There it goes again. Whatever it was that was outside came back.
Frank was able to make it out fine. He says he has no idea who or what was making those sounds. This is the world's most cursed clock tower, and the story behind it is horrific. During 1490, a clockmaker from Czechia named Jan Rus was given an assignment to complete a clock that would stand out to the rest of the world. When Jan completed the clock, he was invited to a special banquet by the city elders to say thank you. So normally, Jan took off and showed up to this banquet. He enjoyed the food and drinks, but as the evening progressed, he noticed the city elders were leaving the room one by one until he was all alone. Suddenly, the door burst open and came in two men, one with a long sharp barb and the other with a knife. They tied him to a chair where they stabbed out his eyes and cut his tongue out. The reason they did this to Jan was because the city elders wanted this clock to be the only one like this in the world. In revenge, Jan took it upon himself to sneak into the clock tower, where he would throw his whole body onto the gears, gumming up the mechanism and killing him instantly. It's said that Jan had cursed the clock, and anyone who tampered with the clock went insane or died. Thank you to Psychic Emporium for today's sponsor. She offers spiritual items such as tarot cards, crystal balls, and much more. So if you enjoy what I do here, feel free to support this channel by checking out her website or calling her. This is why you should never go walking home at night. Late one night, a girl in Boswell, Pennsylvania was walking home from her friend's house when suddenly she began to feel like someone had been following her. So she pulled out her phone to record and confront whoever was behind her. What she recorded is utterly horrifying.
Who's there?
A humanoid creature can be seen with glowing eyes, which begins to chase her as she attempts to run away. Since this video published, I'm guessing she's alright, but it's definitely something that will haunt her nightmares. This is why you don't follow the voices at night. On March of 2021, a man named Danny was living in his apartment with his girlfriend. And every night in a closet just outside their bedroom door, they would hear voices and see things moving around.
What's going on?
But one night, Danny heard one of his coats being tossed out of his closet, so he decided he would investigate whatever did this.
Shit. Did you see that?
This is why it's always a bad idea to go to graveyards at night. Urban explorer Frank from Franco TV explored a graveyard in Peru. As he explores the area, he sees a group of people far in the corner. Not knowing what's going on and worried for his safety, he hides in a tomb waiting for them to leave. 30 minutes gone by, they turn off the lights and begin to leave. Scared someone may still be there, Frank waits 30 more minutes. As he makes his way to the tomb, what he finds is disturbing. Frank finds a circle of candles and what looks like a voodoo doll next to a star. He also finds a container with unknown contents. As Frank tries to communicate with the spirits in that area, he hears laughing coming from one of the graves. Worried for his safety, he decides to leave and says he doesn't want any problems or to be followed by anything there. As Frank makes his way out, he sees something horrifying. What looks like a person can be seen peeking at Frank from the corner of the tomb. But when he checks around the tomb, there's no one there. This man moved into an old haunted apartment and found out he wasn't alone. Dom from Dom Matijan uploaded a creepy video explaining that some days something inside his closet pounds at the door.
I really don't think I'm ever gonna be able to stop this shit. Listen to it. Listen to that pounding. Jesus. I mean, this is my whole closet right here.
This man was woken up in the middle of the night by a loud noise in the living room, but when he goes to check, it sent him running back to his room. The father wakes up to a noise in the living room, so he goes to investigate. But when he gets near the source, this happens. This police officer was checking for an intruder. He wasn't expecting this. Late at night, an owner saw her Airbnb door was open, so she called the police suspecting someone had broken in. When the officers get there, the owner assures them nobody's staying there. So she asked the 2 police officers on site to check the house for any intruders. Using their body cams, this is what was recorded. He hears a loud bang coming from the bathroom, but doesn't find anyone. They split up to check the house, and as he goes upstairs, he sees this.
Police! Anyone inside, make yourself known.
A door opens up on its own, but nothing's there. As he goes downstairs, this happens.
Downstairs, clear.
He checks again, but nobody's up there.
Upstairs, clear. Yeah, we're good.
These guys found what looks like a serial killer's hideout. YouTube channel Explore With Us visited an abandoned property where they would find a shed holding a horrifying secret. As they look inside, they notice the wall behind the shelf didn't match. And when they pulled on it, they found a hidden passage. They find a secret room with a ton of disturbing items. First, he finds a chair with someone's coat on it, and next to that, there's containers full of ammunition. Now, when he goes to the other side of the room, things get weirder. He finds a bunch of hardcore pornography and soundproofing walls. He also found bottles of liquor, ropes on the ground, and a cabinet with strange chemicals. Underneath the staircase was a hole, and inside that hole was a toothbrush, a torn stuffed animal, and some jewelry. After that, they found an old surveillance system and a creepy abandoned van. The team mentions this is all illegally built on public land and is in the process of being removed by land management. These guys saw a girl that had been missing for years. A teenage girl named Carly Gousset sneaked out one night with her boyfriend Donald to a friend's party. In the party, Carly would do an unknown drug that would cause her to have immense paranoia. This caused her to frantically flee from the party and call her stepmom to pick her up. Now in the house, the stepmom didn't take her to the hospital and thought it would be best to keep her company and wait out the effects. But in the morning, Carly was gone. She had ran to the outskirts of town according to some witnesses. From that day, Carly was never seen again. Now, 8 months rolled by and YouTuber Joey Mac was dirt biking with his friend when they see this.
Oh my god, what the hell is this?
Carly can be seen walking barefoot and they both stare at each other. But Joey mentions he got weirded out so he left. His friend says Carly ran towards him when he passed by, but he kept going. Now when they get home they call the police, but sadly to this day she hasn't been found yet. If your dog starts barking like this, he may be warning you of ghosts or demons watching you. One night, her dog was terrified, barking at the doorway of their bedroom. Feeling uneasy, she decided to record this event.
Looking at stuff popping out right along here. I hope, oh my god, I hope you can see this.
Someone or something took a picture of him while he was asleep. Wade Lanigan from TikTok woke up one day to his phone notifying him his storage was full. When he went to delete some pictures, he sees this. Someone had taken a picture of him sleeping last night at 2 a.m. Wade explains his wife is away for work and he's alone with the baby. But then, things get worse.
I just woke up to something scratching at my door. I originally thought it was my dog. My dog is right here.
One night, after hearing scratches on his door, he decides to stay at a friend's house for some time. He captured someone or something stalking their baby. The father was testing a tracking feature on the monitor. While the wife was playing with the baby, he tells her he's gonna check if he can see her face.
One sec, let me check if I can get your face. Say hello, Liz. What the f?
As the camera goes up, the father sees the face of a person peeking from the bathroom.
Lisa! Who's behind you? Hey? Swear to God, there's no one. Is there actually anyone behind you?
But when he goes to check, there's no one there.
Seriously? I swear to God, I won't stop this match. I've seen something.
He was working the night shift when this happened.
Oh my god, what the?
Simon worked as a security guard at a hotel overnight. He mentions the guest had passed away and only a couple months ago. And ever since then, strange things started happening.
In here, I swear to God, I heard a woman talking.
What the fuck?
Oh, fuck no.
A few nights later, things get worse.
Hello? Oh my god, what the fuck? What the fuck?
A Tampa, Florida man went gliding while visiting Switzerland. And right as they're about to take off, they realize he's not attached to the pilot. So the tourist Chris Gursky is forced to hang on for his life. As they continue to ascend due to rising winds, Chris grabs a hold of the pilot, tilting him to the side. On top of that, the pilot is only steering with one hand since he's grabbing Chris to make sure he doesn't fall. And if things weren't worse, suddenly his bicep tears from hanging on tightly for so long. You can see the pilot grabbing onto Chris's hand to help him maintain his grip. After 2 minutes and 14 seconds of hanging on, Chris is finally low enough to let go and hits the ground hard. Auto Parts manager Chris Gursky made it out alive with only a broken wrist and torn bicep. Despite all this, he says he wants to go again because he didn't enjoy his last ride. If you get a feeling like someone's in the back of your car at night, this could be why. Early in the morning, a Singapore bus driver was getting ready to start his routes when he felt like someone was watching him. What looks like a dark figure can be seen in the back of the bus, watching him. But when he checks, there's no one there. Could this really mean that when we're feeling watched, someone's with us? Or is it something else? There's a cave in China where hundreds of coffins were found. Rumors say that vampire ancestors are in a deep sleep, and if you open the coffins, you'll break the curse and awaken the dead. But this isn't actually the case, and the real reason why those coffins are there might surprise you. You see, in ancient times, people that lived in the city of Anshun, China, moved over into the mountainy regions in order to avoid war. Their beliefs were that by placing a coffin high up in a mountain, it would be closer to heaven. Then by letting the wooden coffins rot away, the souls would successfully cross over. This is why most dolls are haunted. 10 years ago, a woman named Steph purchased a strange doll in Mexico. She says after some time, she began to hear a child's voice in her home. She disposed of the doll and thought that would fix it, but it kept haunting her. One night, while Steph was in her room talking on the phone, she sees this. You can see what looks like a small hand opening the closet door. A couple of days later, she sees it again, but this time, she goes to see who's there. Could it be that the spirit of a child has attached itself to Steph's home? Or is it something else? They finally moved in together into a new house, but a late night visitor changed everything. Recently engaged couple Crystal and Damien loved their new home, but they couldn't ignore the feeling like something was with them. Worried for their safety, Damien sets up cameras around the house. During midnight, they were woken by banging at the front door. Seeing no one was there, Damien opened the door armed and confused. After that night, they began to argue more frequently.
I don't want to keep hanging out with your friends.
They're not trying. That's just how they.
Damien was attacked by an unknown force, and they decided to prepare a seance to cleanse the house. Seeing the bathroom door shake aggressively, startled, they left the house for a couple of days. They believe the cleanse might have worked since the house now feels somewhat different. A group of friends were hiking in Virginia when they hear something inside the forest that horrifies them.
Lower then.
I think it's poison.
Wait, no, Britt, no.
No, hold on.
I'm going first.
Oh, no, go first. I'm about to take a picture of it. You gotta get lower than that. Look at him, he moved.
Oh my god.
Uh-oh, it's about to catch something. Y'all ready to go back?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Yo, what the fuck is that? Look, in scary movies, this one they say, yo, let's
Wait.
Wait, how y'all realize before we do?
Wait.
They went into a haunted museum and realized something was watching them. TikTok user Sabrina went to visit the Aston Hall mansion in Birmingham, England. The mansion was built in the early 1600s by Sir Thomas Holt as a home for him and his family. Holt would imprison his daughter for over 16 years in a small cell located in the top of the building, and all because he didn't approve of her partner. She would later pass away due to poor treatment. Many people have claimed seeing a female spirit who is thought of being his daughter Mary. Now, Sabrina's husband tries calling out for Mary where she passed away, and it looks like she heard him.
We seen you. Where are you, Mary? 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 Are you still in there, Mary? You can come out now. Hello?
They were working in a haunted train station when suddenly they heard something growling. A group of co-workers of an underground train station were working as normal until one of them began to hear what sounded like growling coming from a hall. Now, when one of the workers gets closer, this happens. The growling reacts to him getting closer.
It fucking seemed mate, and it fucking stopped. Do you not hear it? Stop.
Many people who work or worked there also claim experiencing unexplained events. She played the Ouija board and began acting very strange. 21-year-old girl named Camilka suffered a minor head injury while playing volleyball. A couple of days later, she decided to play the Ouija board with her friends on an old family-owned hut in the outskirts of town. Shortly after, Camilka began acting very strange, making growling noises. She decided to barricade herself in the attic. The police were called in fear of her being possessed. An officer uses the name of her daughter to try and lure her out. Eventually, the officers entered the room and overpowered her. She was taken to a hospital where her blood work showed she was not under the influence and would later wake up completely normal. Did her head injury mess with her state of mind, or was she really possessed by playing the Ouija board? A DJ was closing the night when this happens.
This is genuinely scary.
Screams of terror heard coming from a woman off camera crying out for help. Hearing this late at night is unsettling, that even people walking nearby feel unsafe and flee. This is why you should never trust any dolls. A man named Jacob inherited his grandmother's house, along with her collection of antique dolls. In the bedroom Jacob is sleeping in, a creepy clown doll is positioned right in front of the bed, as if watching him. But not long after falling asleep, he begins to hear noises inside the bedroom. He didn't notice it. As he's leaving the closet, he's startled by another sound, but it wasn't until rewatching the video that he would see it. The doll's head seemingly moved on its own, as if it was really watching him. Since that night, Jacob has moved the doll. Family rented out their upstairs apartment to an odd 75-year-old lady, and over the course of a few months, they were forced to move out. This is what happened. An urban explorer by the name Eric Gunner was contacted by one of his viewers, Natalie, after she had experienced some very strange activity in her house. Natalie says her mother had rented out their upstairs apartment to an elderly lady, and ever since she moved in, strange things began to occur. They would hear odd noises at night, they would find items moved around the house, and they would experience a foul smell coming from upstairs. Cats and dogs began to disappear around the neighborhood. The old lady would completely avoid contact with Natalie and her family. One night, as the odd noises intensified, Natalie's sister woke up with an unexplained scratch mark in her back. Terrified and in shock, they would immediately leave the house. Eric was called to investigate the house. At the time of filming this video, the family had been gone from the house for 2 weeks now. As you can see, the house's condition was left in a rush. As Eric is leaving the bedroom, he sees the figure of someone watching him. Now Eric is freaked out and tries to leave. But when he goes outside, he sees someone in a blue cloak. Eric hides in a room and just hopes this person leaves him alone. Luckily enough, he was able to make it out.